It's happening. There has been a lot of discussion surrounding if Tom Thibodeau is going to be coaching the New York Knicks next year or if Leon Rose is going to move on from the Knicks head coach of 5 years, despite Rose and Jalen Brunson being fans of him, and all of this coming out at a very interesting time as a former Knicks coach is now up for a head coaching job, a guy who was always supposed to be Thibodeau's successor as well. So all of this has fans and the media and everyone sort of agreeing on one thing. Tom Thibodeau has likely coached his last game for the New York Knicks, and we are going to explain exactly why that is based off all the chatter, all the reports that we've seen, and some of the information that we've gotten, and we are going to break this all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. Didn't think this video was coming, but guys, if you're part of that 75% that's not subscribed, we have daily New York Knicks videos like this. We have a bunch of inside reports. We have a bunch of fun stuff as well that we're going to do. A bunch of trade videos, some free agency rumors as well, along with all Knicks news that comes out 30 minutes after a certain Knicks news happens. After anything Knicks news happens, we have a video in 30 minutes. We are fast to it, so you don't want to miss out. But guys, it's happening. There's been a lot of chatter on Twitter today. Knicks Twitter has been kind of freaking out saying, with Big Nick Energy, who does have some sources saying that, look, you're not going to believe what's happening. Something is about to shock Knicks fans. Other Knicks fans as well, or Knicks Twitter accounts have gone out there and sort of hinted that something is going to change. And right now, with trades not being allowed as the NBA season is still going on for at least the two teams in the NBA Finals, between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, there has been a lot of discussion surrounding head coach Tom Thibodeau, as that is the one thing that could really change for this New York Knicks team at this point thus far. So, for the New York Knicks, there's been a lot of discussion around Tom Thibodeau, and there's been a lot of different reports and everything going on, and all signs point to Tom Thibodeau having coached his last game for the New York Knicks, and at 67 years old and likely moving to the front office of the Knicks, he may have coached his last NBA game. Now, it's important to note that Tom Thibdoeau, after Mike Malone got fired, said, I think it's maybe a byproduct of where we are today with all that goes on. That's where, hopefully, you have people that can remain calm. You win together, you lose together, you work through hard things together. I think that's an important part of this business. Now, Ian Begley used this quote before saying this in a recent article. The overarching question facing the Knicks right now, do you remain calm, make changes to the margins, and run it back next year with the same group? Or do you go the opposite route and trade for a star or search for a new head coach? These are the questions that will need to be answered in the coming days as the Knicks conduct exit interviews with players and perform an autopsy on the 2024-5 season. If you zoom out, it would seem strange to make massive changes to a team that made the conference finals for the first time in 25 years. The Knicks have mostly showed year-over-year progress in the Jalen Brunson era. You can make an easy case for running it back with Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby as your core, and Thibdoeau as your coach. And Begley's right, you can make that argument. It's an argument that many people would make, and it's understandably so. The Knicks did make the conference finals for the first time. Tom Thibdoeau did coach them to beat the Boston Celtics. But there were times where Thibdoeau got outcoached in the playoffs. Now, most coaches at one point or another do get outcoached in the playoffs, so that's not the only reason. But the real issue that came was the fact that Thibdoeau didn't experiment enough in the regular season. With that not happening, he was kind of weary on experimenting throughout the playoffs until his back was against the wall. And by the time he made the change to take out Josh Hart for Mitchell Robinson, the writing was on the wall. The Knicks had lost both their games at home in the Eastern Conference Finals, and no team in NBA history has won a series or has won the conference finals after dropping their first two games at home. The Knicks for a moment made it seem possible, but at the end of the day, they lost in 6 games, and a lot of fans turned their blame towards Tom Thibdoeau because at the end of the day, Karl-Anthony Towns put up 25 and 12. Jalen Brunson put up 30 points per game. The Knicks players individually, for the most part, showed up. However, who didn't show up? Head coach Tom Thibdoeau, who got outcoached by Rick Carlisle. Now, part of this is Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches on the planet when it comes to basketball. It's hard to outcoach the man. However, the Knicks, they might not like the route that Thibdoeau's taking, forcing them into a half-court offense when this is a team that would play better in the full court. A team that more likely so is made to be a fast-paced offensive team with individual defensive players who are very good instead of a slow-paced defensive team with individually good offensive defensive players, as the Knicks are more of the former than the latter, so things have become really, really difficult in regards to Tom Thibodeau. We've seen Jalen Brunson defend Tibbs, saying when he was asked if Tibbs is the right guy, saying, is that a real question right now? You just asked me if I believe he's the right guy? Yes, come on. So we have to be aware of that. And on top of that, Tibbs does have a 226 and 174 record with the Knicks. 2 of those seasons were before Jalen Brunson, where they went 1-1 when it comes to making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. Since Jalen Brunson arrived, they've obviously made it the last 3 years and never lost in the first round. There's a lot of argument to thinking, do you fire a man who's done that? Well, things get a little bit iffy. Coaches have been fired plenty of times from the conference finals. I mean, look, we saw Dwayne Casey win Coach of the Year, take the Raptors to the conference finals, lose. Or not the conference finals, take him to the second round, lose to the Cavs. He was out. They replaced him with Nick Nurse. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard showed up. They win the NBA Finals. Mark Jackson coached the Warriors out of the dumpster. They were doing great. They made the playoffs for the first time. Got an upset victory as a 6th seed. Mark Jackson got fired. Steve Kerr came in. The Warriors won the NBA Finals. Coaches can do well and still get fired because they might be viewed as the wrong coach for the team. I don't think Tom Thibodeau is a bad coach. I think he's the wrong coach for the New York Knicks. And for that reason, I kind of think I'm not the only one who sees that in the organization. And I think because of that, what we're about to see is Tom Thibodeau get fired or just get moved to the front office, I should say. Now, we've showed this report already, so we're just going to skim through it. As Fred Katz and James Edwards mentioned, during the playoff run, the coaching staff remained cautious of its future, understanding if a first-round loss to the Pistons or even losing to the Celtics in the second round could mean the changes were coming. Thibodeau absorbed criticism about heavy minutes for the starters, hardly a new critique for him, but New York's roster was always one of the healthiest all season and concluded the playoffs with no one injured. The coach has the backing of Leon Rose, league sources said, as well as a full buy-in from Jalen Brunson, who signed with the Knicks in 2022, in part because he wanted to play for Tom Thibodeau. But ultimately, James Dolan makes the final decision, and Dolan could step in as he's been stepping in with the Rangers recently, so it's important to note. And then Ian Begley saying, it's not a foregone conclusion that Tom Thibodeau is going to remain the Knicks head coach, and the team will continue to evaluate that this week. Now, this is the week of exit interviews. As we know, Tom Thibodeau likely could see his end in the exit interview where Leon Rose says, look, you're my guy. You know that. Come be my vice president of basketball operations. We want to go a different direction, head coach. Tibbs is not going to say no because the other option is he gets fired outright. It's basically saying, kind of retire, almost, but don't because you get to work with me. We're good friends. I'm sorry. It's just what we have to do. You're a smart dude. I know you get it. And there it is. I mean, look, for the most part, let's go over the Knicks that we know like Tom Thibodeau. The one who's known him since he was 3 years old, Jalen Brunson. On top of that, does Josh Hart. He likes him as a person. I think they disagree on their basketball philosophies. We know Mikal Bridges is not the biggest fan of him. We know Karl-Anthony Towns and Tibbs have butted heads in the past. We know that Karl-Anthony Towns is not the right center for a Tom Thibodeau team. Mitchell Robinson, it feels like he could be on the fence either way. Look at Deuce McBride, who hasn't gotten more minutes. There's a real argument that Deuce is not thrilled with Tom Thibodeau, especially saying that they got exposed at the end of the year for some of their flaws. That is not exactly praising your head coach right there. On top of that, a guy like Ariel Huckporty, who didn't get to enter the rotation until Jericho Sims got traded, played for 3 games and got injured. It'd be understandable if Huckporty was upset as well. You look at guys who matter to this team, and a good chunk of them might not be the biggest fan of Tom Thibodeau. OG Anunoby consistently has asked for more touches. Has Tom Thibodeau done anything to get OG Anunoby more touches? No, absolutely not. So what does that mean? It could mean that OG would be fine with the Knicks going in a different direction at head coach, considering OG was there when the Raptors fired their head coach and then won a finals the next year. So he might understand it pretty damn well at this point, which is also important to note here. Now, on top of all this, there is more info on this as well. As Shams revealed, the Phoenix Suns have narrowed their head coaching search from 2 finalists from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Associate coach Johnny Bryant, which is just the lead assistant coach, and assistant Jordan Ott, sources tell ESPN. Both will meet with the Suns owner Matt Ishbia in Michigan ahead of a hiring as soon as later this week. So, that's interesting. We're hearing nothing really about Tibbs. Then it comes out that Johnny Bryant, the man who is supposed to be Tibbs' successor, who left the Knicks for the Cavaliers because he closed with Donovan Mitchell, now is a head coaching opportunity from a team that no one would choose over coaching the New York Knicks based off where these teams are. Once a conference finals team either missed the playoffs and is about to trade Kevin Durant. I'm going to bet all my money that this is not a coincidence. That the Knicks know, oh, we might lose the guy who we were going to hire if we ever moved on from Tibbs. Gut check time. What do we want to do? Do we want to move on from Tibbs? Because it's now or never if we want Johnny Bryant. Because I'll tell you one thing. Nobody is expecting Ott to get that job over Bryant. This is Bryant's job to lose, and he will take a head coaching offer if he's not going to sit up and be like, well, maybe the Knicks will fire Tom Thibodeau, and then they'll hire me. Because Ishbia will go, oh, Jordan Ott, you're hired now. Because Johnny Bryant just made a stupid decision that if it doesn't work out, looks really, really bad for the rest of his career. So Johnny Bryant is going to take the deal. Unless the Knicks offer him a deal. That's where things get really interesting, guys. That is where things become super interesting. Sleeper Knicks, they said that they want Johnny Bryant as the head coach. So we've already seen Bryant get called for. We saw when Johnny Bryant was just getting this. I mean, when it was announced on a Knicks fan page about this, Knicks fans were vehemently upset about this, saying that he should have been the Knicks coach. And Knicks fans are still longing for Johnny Bryant. And with Real Jay Williams, I don't know why I used his Twitter name and not just Jay Williams' name. If Jay Williams said, I think it's okay to say that it's open that he will be on the hot seat in regards to Tom Thibodeau. And the craziest is what Ian Begley said. Begley recently said on Zach Lowe's podcast, unprompted, I'm betting that Tibbs is back. But I can tell you for sure, it hasn't been decided yet, to the least of my knowledge, at 9:45 on Monday. It could be in 5 minutes that changes. Obviously, names out there, if they did move, Jay Wright comes to mind, Mike Malone, but kind of similar qualities to Tibbs. No others, but it's not a slam dunk right now. I will tell you one thing, him bringing that up unprompted is very interesting. And there's a world where he said that he thinks they're keeping Tibbs to kind of cover himself because he's close with the Knicks. He's an insider. You don't want to wrongly predict that, and then, like, it could mess up your job. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I'm not trying to make up words or say what Ian Begley's up to. I don't know, and I don't want to insinuate that I know what Ian knows or that Ian is doing what I'm saying. I could be so off base right now, and that's important to note. So this is really interesting, guys. I would give it a 75 to 80% chance that Tom Thibodeau is not the coach of the New York Knicks next season. And if that happens, 3 names come to mind off the top of my head. Johnny Bryant, and that means the Knicks are firing Thibodeau like tomorrow. Mike Malone, not Jay Wright, he's not going to do it. Dan Hurley. 4th wildcard name, Chris Quinn of the Heat. Those are one of those who I just named is the next Knicks head coach if it's not Tom Thibodeau. This is getting really interesting, and we will be sure to update you with any new updates on this instantly. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm like 80% sure Tibbs is getting fired. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.